Aloha, everyone. Welcome to Java with Lava. Thank you kindly, Ken. It's Friday, the 28th of July, 2023. So happy Friday, everybody. We've kind of still got a negative market set. This is a down continuation after Bank of Japan's policy waves they caused yesterday, but the market was well overdue for a pullback. Uh, Small correction, in my opinion, could stand to go more. Gold did catch a little bit of a bid, and oil is the story here for the most part as far as the markets. Now, we really like commodities, but this one right now is going to be one of the first ones that we'll catch from this. We're watching the rates, of course, and this is the futures numbers as they are right now. Futures, for the most part, green. And so this is showing the markets still on that hyped edge. They don't believe in the negative things coming yet. And all I have to say about that is that when the time comes, everybody runs for the exit at the same time. So urging caution. We can watch Dixie. That is a indicator for the relative strength of the US dollar. And this is Bitcoin Cash, which is completely irrelevant. I grabbed the wrong numbers there. My apologies. But Bitcoin is still below that 30,000 threshold that I'm watching for it to get above. So Friday, we're expecting these basically personal income spending. Core PCE will be a big one they're looking at for their numbers moving forward. Employment cost index for businesses, and then consumer sentiment, how they say everybody is feeling. So as I said, really the big story in the markets is big oil. We've got earnings coming in from Exxon, Chevron, and then also Procter and Gamble and a couple of other larger companies, as well as many other smaller companies. So this is a huge factor to watch for with incoming real inflation, in my opinion. So many products require oil in their production, if not directly, then along the line in order to get it to a market. So we're still watching the strike by the United Auto Workers Union. The labor pact expires in a couple of months, so that's going to be ongoing for a bit. There's just more strikes coming on. So that all ties in with the unemployment thing. So one other thing I did want to mention with Bitcoin and crypto in general is that crypto legislation right now is still being heard on Capitol Hill in the US, and it's progressing. And as this matures and it comes in my opinion, this is going to be very positive for this space because this actually opens doors for what we call the big money. It's institutions, pension funds, 401ks, that this would put it within their guidelines that they can invest in these. I know that a lot of them are already and just not kind of doing it in different ways. So in macro events, I would like to talk about back to Bank of Japan with their yield curve control. We've also got the Bank of England and Christine Lagarde talking for the IMF, saying that they will be keeping pace with the Fed and that they may pause in August. So this is what a currency war looks like. With Powell saying they don't collaborate, which is a bunch of garbage. They do. And so they're all kind of hiking their own interest rates and going along because if one goes off too terribly far from the other, it will cause either hyperinflation or deflationary event for their currency. And they know this. So, kind of relevant to that, Bolivia is the latest South American nation to use China's yuan for trade, challenging the US dollar. Now that, the Bolivar, it's not such a big deal as far as them using the yuan. The bigger story behind that is that now China is doing bigger trade with Bolivia. They have oil, they have large resources. And so that's going to shift these resources. So on to a trend that I think is going to continue, of course. Gasoline prices hit an 8-month high with no release in sight. I do believe gas increases in inflation in general will continue. We've got government subsidizing the housing because they believe that the middle class can absorb the cost. Now, the government doesn't have a lot of money, they only get tax revenue. And who do they tax? Not people that aren't working, but the middle class for the most part. is the bulk of their income. The White House also announced another interagency task force to develop ways to fund efforts to convert more commercial buildings to residential housing. So we've got a lot of residential housing due to come online. They're not live yet. So I don't know how this is going to work out for them, but we're going to keep an eye on that. Quick note and reminder, if you haven't yet and you like any of this content, if you would consider hitting that like, I would truly appreciate it. Okay, moving on to reality checks, little longer term things that are going on. Some stories. Huawei, they are now using those smaller chips and they've got them at about 50% yield in production. That's not much when you look at it on the surface, but they can chain these. And these go outside of the guidelines that the United States has kind of limited them from, so they can produce these freely. So that's, to me, that's a pretty interesting thing. So we've got another story coming out about BlackRock vowing to democratize crypto opportunities. Yeah, I don't know that I trust these guys. Larry Fink, through a Bitcoin exchange traded fund. So he's basically pre-pumping it. Uh, we'll see how that goes. But in other news, I wanted to bring up a couple more things before I head off. Major banks are reporting setting aside more money to cover bad consumer loans as credit card balances rise. So they see defaults are starting to happen as well. And as these things start rolling in, they want to try to, yeah, they're preparing for it, yet still at the same time they're pumping credit card use. I have one other really interesting story, and I wanted to bring you more on this. But I saw the head of Russia's space research is extending an offer to Brazil, India, China, and South Africa to participate in a special project. With these countries, they want to build a joint module for its upcoming planned space station. So, really, the next war territory is space. It's our orbits, because within space are all of the satellites, which will be controlling a good deal of all of the technology moving forward, whether it's AI connections or everything else moving forward. So, with that, I just want to say we have a wonderful online community, and I want to thank you all very kindly. I am traveling today, but I will see you Sunday. And with that, I wish you all a great trading day, a wonderful day in general. Stay free, my friends.